Mr. Crane, would you like to address the board?
I'm sorry, I didn't know you was, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Please state your name and address for the records, please.
Matthew Crane with the Jones Roussel Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810, Covington 70434. We represent Miss Barbie, and we had talked with Miss Lambert. We're moving forward with the clearing permit process and would ask for one more month to finalize that. So we respectfully request that it be postponed until the January meeting.
Okay. We have, do I have a motion to, Mr. Ballantyne?
No, I object.
Put your mic on.
I object to this. I mean, this is what, the second of postponement?
No, they appeared last month for the first time, and we requested them to do some further study on it and get a land clearing permit before they're proceeding. So we can see what trees would be left after they did the initial land clearing, which they could clear partial of the lot. So we was waiting for them to get the land clearing permit. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they applied for the permit and maybe just received it just recently and haven't had a chance to, I may be speaking for you, but haven't had a chance to clear the lot yet.
Correct. We're still moving forward with the process and hope to start clearing next week.
Well, how do you clear without the variance?
Well, I can let staff answer that.
Well, right now they're requesting a land clearing permit to be able to clear the interior of the lot, which is allowed. And then it would allow staff to go visit the site and see, the status of the remaining trees. And if it's, if there's a possibility to remove more trees or preserve the trees.
Yeah, I'm all for preserving the trees. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Gordon? You got to hit your mic button. It's off. Okay, did you check them in?
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Well, I'll get your mic in just a second. All right.
Motion to approve the request to postpone.
We have a motion to approve to postpone. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Secretary, would everyone please vote with the lights?
Motion passed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our next case is BOA case number 2019-1672 BOA. This was postponed from our 11/12/19 meeting. The applicant, request by applicant in an A4 single-family residential zoning district for reduction of the required rear yard setback from 25 feet to 10.92 feet to allow for the addition of an awning to a single-family residence. The property is located at 1005 Palmetto Court, Slidell, Louisiana. The applicant is Ronald Luby. Request by applicant for a reduction of the required rear yard setback from 25 feet to 10.92 feet. Staff comments, please.
Staff comments remains the same. Staff does not recommend approval. If I'm not mistaken, some of the board members requested to have additional information provided. So maybe we can hear from the applicant and representative.
See the applicant, will you please state your name and address for the records, please?
My name's Ronald Luby. My address is 1005 Palmetto Court, Slidell, Louisiana. I have the requested document from the Bel Air Homeowners Association and the rear neighbor about the said awning.
Okay, can you? Thank you. You had some other papers in here also. I don't know if
It was a copy of the covenant that the Homeowners Association attached to their letter showing that it was within the regulations of their covenants.
okay. Do we have any questions to Mr. Luby? Okay. Let's let everybody look at the information that he submitted. Give everybody a few seconds just to review the documents. Just a brief history for members that wasn't here last meeting. We requested that he get an approval from the homeowners association. And also at that time, he did not contact, he was unable to contact the neighbor to the rear of him, but now, see, you do have his approval also. We ask that you get those letters for us. In the packet, he had a lot of neighbors that did approve it. Like I said, there was missing missing the homeowners, and we asked them to go back and get the homeowners association.
My question, it didn't tell me the two that were in the package, I didn't know where they were in relationship to the awning.
The two in the packet from the previous was one on my, if you're facing in front of my house, one on the left-hand side of my house, and then another one was from a neighbor across the street that would be viewing at the awning.
Just give a few seconds, let everybody look at that. All right, did everybody get a chance to look at it? Do we have any questions, Mr. Lubin? Mr. Brookton?
I want to make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? We have a motion to, okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Do we have any discussion? Mr. Gordon? Can you get back to the other screen? Mr. Gordon had a question.
Well, you got us on voting.
No, I know, she's gonna, we're gonna. Okay. All right, Mr. Gordon, you should have the microphone.
Yes, sir. It appears from the photograph that there's quite a few of your neighbors that also have attached awnings that go into the setbacks?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Hearing none, would everyone please vote with the lights? Has everyone voted? Everyone, please hit your lights again. We had a little malfunction there.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a request at this time to move up one case. Excuse me. Never mind. Our next case is BOA case number 2019-1702. BOA request by applicant in an A1 suburban zoning district for an after-the-fact waiver. I'm sorry, I skipped it. Let me jump back up. I got ahead of myself. BOA case number 2019-1698 BOA. Request by applicant in a planned unit development overlay to reduce the required rear yard setback from 25 feet to 20 feet to allow for a patio addition. The property is located at 801 Greenleaf Circle, Madisonville, Louisiana. The applicant and representative is Jonathan Lorio. Request by applicant to reduce the required rear yard setback from 25 feet to 20 feet to allow for a patio addition. Staff comments, please.
The variance is being requested to allow for the construction of a patio addition, which would allow to approximately double the size of the existing patio and extend 5 feet into the rear yard setback. Staff is not in support of the requested variance, considering that no evidence of hardship or practical difficulty has been demonstrated. Moreover, it does not appear that the property has any unique physical characteristic making it impossible to meet the setback requirements.
See that. Would you please state your name and address for the records, please?
Jonathan Lorio, 801 Greenleaf Circle, Madisonville, Louisiana.
Mr. Lorio, do you have anything further to add?
Just to talk to the hardship of the property, I mean, it didn't pose any hardship to me personally or my family, but when building the house on that particular lot, the way the lot, the lines of the property are to fit a house the size that the subdivision requires, a lot of the majority of the house sits on the rear part of the property. If you notice, with the drawing that you have, you're not going to see it, but my front yard is over 3 times the depth of the rear. So the setback of 25 feet is pretty limiting in, with the way I had to position the house on the lot when I built it. Outside of that, I don't have anything to say.
Mr. Ballantyne?
I got a couple of questions. Number one, there are letters in here. Is there a letter from the homeowners association?
There was email correspondence included in the packet where the HOA had instructed me to seek approval from you guys. Once I had that, they would consider it.
I don't believe that's the way it works. I want to see approval in writing from the homeowners association. All right, my second question, what goes on top of the patio?
Roof that ties into my existing roof. So it would look just as part of the house.
But that roof is again going to hang over the setback?
No, the actual 5-foot variance that I'm asking for would be the very edge of the overhang. So it's not the slab that would extend to the 5 feet, it would be the roof line.
I think that's what I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Regarding your comment about HOA, when I met with the developer and the HOA manager, they instructed me that without approval from the parish, they would not consider it. With approval from the parish, they would consider it, but it wasn't a guarantee. Being that this is my first time asking for such a variance, you have to forgive me, but I'm learning as I go with this one.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chairman and the staff, my point is, without homeowner association approval, I can't support this.
So are you saying that you would give conditional approval on HOA's approval?
No, I said I'm not going to approve it without a homeowners association approval. We can't, if they're not going to approve it, if we approve it and then they don't, then we got a problem.
Okay. If you didn't read the email that was included in the packet, though, the homeowners association did say with parish approval, we would approve.
I don't know if we got a copy of that in
So
the
if I
packet.
can get that on HOA letterhead or something, would that hold more weight than an email?
Just a moment, let me see if I
I don't have that in my packet.
I don't have it in
I don't
my-
see
I
it.
don't think
My
it's in,
package
I don't
either.
think it's in your packet because it was a lot of different emails. Okay, well, guess this is what it said. If you receive all the required below, we would accept the request. So I guess you can read from it.
I'll let y'all look at that email. Why don't you show it to
Can we?
Just give everybody time, a little time to read it,
No
since it
problem.
wasn't in our packet.
Is there anyone here from the homeowners association?
Or is anyone in the audience against this particular case? I think everyone saw it. Do we have any more comments for Mr. Lorio? Tom, you have any more comments? I still have you on the floor.
No, my comment is the same. The email, all the email says it's his understanding that if the parish approved it, then the homeowners association would approve it. We don't have anything in writing from the homeowners association that says, we approve this. So based on that, I don't support it.
And just to be clear, what did the homeowners association respond to my email?
I don't have the
Well, you
email.
read what I said, but you didn't read what they said, just to be clear. I think they said, provided I have approval from the parish, that they would approve.
The email passed down that way.
I got it right here.
Oh, she has it.
That's what it says.
If you receive all the required below, we would accept the request. That was from John and it's signed by Christy Pearson?
Yes, she manages the homeowners association.
Okay. If you'd like to, you can always request to postpone and go back to your HOA to see if you could get something a little clearer on letterhead or something.
Would that appease you more so than the email?
Oh, yeah.
And in the event that we don't postpone and we vote today, how many votes does it take to pass? And every one of you votes, correct?
Yeah, but it takes 4 votes. We have 5 members on the board. We have 2 alternate members that are not voting. They show up just to attend the meetings in case a member doesn't show up. Just to go over the board members is Mr. Ballantyne, Mr. Brookter, myself, Mr. Snyder, and Mr. Gordon.
So if I elect to go ahead today, there's nothing stopping me from resubmitting. I'll just pay the fee the second time, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
If the motion, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. If you went ahead today and you lost,
right,
he could file again and just bring it back up to us?
okay. Considering the amount of time I'm spending away from work, I would elect to
Just a
go
second,
ahead today and do it.
Okay, we have some other questions. Wait a minute. Mr. Gordon?
Sir, if it'll help you, without an HOA letter, I'm not going to approve it either. The HOA could have simply given you that from the get-go. I was the president of a homeowner association. It's not an issue. They could have given it if they wanted it.
Clearly, you don't understand Beatico Creek Homeowners Association.
My daughter lives there. I do understand it. Thank you.
I appreciate you saving me the 200. So we will postpone.
So you requesting to postpone this?
Yes, sir.
The applicant is requesting postponement. Do I have a motion to postpone this to next month?
I'll make a motion to postpone until next month.
We have a motion to postpone and a second to next month. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, would everyone please vote with the lights?
Motion carries. I will
Thank you.
send you a notice in a minute.
All right, thank you for your time.
Okay. We have a request at this time to move up one case, case number BOA, case number 2019-1704-BOA. Can you get a motion to move this case up?
I'll make a motion to move the case up.
We have a motion and a second to move the case up. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Secretary, would everyone please vote with the lights?
Motion carries.
Okay. Our next case then is BOA case number 2019-1704 BOA. Request by applicant in a ED1 primary educational zoning district to relocate some of the existing/required number of Class A and Class B trees within the school campus and to allow for payment into the tree bank in lieu of on-site mitigation due to the relocation of CLECO right-of-way. The property is located at 317 Highway 1077, Covington, Louisiana. The applicant is Madisonville Elementary School, Trey Faust III, and Cameron Tipton. The representative is Mr. Jeff Sane. No, just a second. I'm going to finish reading the applicant is requesting to relocate some of the existing/required number of Class A and Class B trees within the school campus and to allow for payment into the tree bank in lieu of on-site mitigation due to the relocation of CLECO right-of-way. Staff comments? Someone now.
Okay. So the applicant is seeking the removal, relocation, and mitigation of a total of 15 trees, which will be located under the proposed relocated CLECO right-of-way. Specifically, the requests are as follows. Relocation of 4 Class A and 5 Class B trees as shown on the plan. Removal of 4 Class A trees to be replaced with 4 new Class A trees as shown on the plan. And removal of 2 10-inch live oaks, equating to 20 inches of mitigation to be replaced with 3 3-inch live oak trees on site, and payment to the St. Tammany Parish Tree Bank for the remaining 11 inches of mitigation. Staff does not object to the request. However, the applicant should consider planting some of the remaining 11 inches of live oak trees near the playground on the south of C.S. Owens Road, since there are no trees in this area. Staff would not object to the on-site planting of another variety of species of Class A trees to mitigate for the live oaks to be removed.
Mr. Shane, would you please state your name and address for the records,
Yes,
please?
sir, thank you. Mr. Chair. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, and I represent the St. Tammany Parish School Board. I appreciate you moving this item up. As I indicated to you before the meeting, I have another public meeting at the City of Covington that'll be starting in just a few minutes or a little while, so I appreciate getting a little bump this afternoon. Thank you. I come to you this evening with the request that you have all heard and read. First, I'd like to thank staff for working so closely with the school board, as they always do, but in understanding our issue and helping us try to come up with a plan. So essentially what has happened, and it's all good news, is that Madisonville Elementary School, like many of the schools and other facilities in the western part of our parish, is growing leaps and bounds. And as a result of that, I'm happy to say that the school board is currently in the process of constructing a building on the north side of C.S. Owens Road, around 56,000 plus square feet of classroom, and also around another 7,000 or 8,000 square foot gymnasium. If you're not familiar with the Madisonville Elementary School campus, it's actually bisected by a public road, C.S. Owens Road. So you have some of the campus on the north side, some of the campus on the south side. In constructing these improvements and also really realigning the campus for not only the current project, for future growth in the years to come, CLECO and the school board sat down and recognized that there could be some efficiencies and economies if CLECO would realign or reroute, relocate its current facilities that sort of run in a diagonal from the northwest to the southeast, crossing the campus. If you look in your staff report, I'm sure that you have one of the drawings that shows the existing CLECO right-of-way, again, sort of running across, if you will, northeast to southwest. The drawing behind that suggests the new location of the CLECO right-of-way, which is no longer going to be a straight line, and you'll see how it would be configured. As a result of doing that, there are obviously some trees that need to be removed, and furthermore, CLECO is pretty steadfast in their position that it's just not good business for there to be trees within their right-of-way, because ultimately they interfere or could interfere with the right-of-way, the lines, in some form or fashion. Makes it difficult for them to get in to do their regular maintenance. We know if they get too big, then those can be obstacles that knock power out. I mean, just all of the things that you might think. So we came to the parish and had a very successful meeting on November the 19th and discussed the possibilities. And for the most part, if you look at the sheet in your packet that indicates where the new trees will be planted, we came up with a very reasonable configuration of almost literally tree for tree in the best locations that we could come up with, where they would not interfere, obviously, with the new or proposed route. As staff has noted in its comments, they have no objection to the proposal, but they have requested that maybe rather than paying for 11 inches of mitigation for some of the live oaks, that we try to plant some live oaks in the playground area, which is on the southerly portion of the campus. We're not opposed to planting trees anywhere on campus for all the right reasons. I'm not sure how easy it will be to accomplish that, but what we hope is that you would grant a variance that would allow us to work with staff as it relates to trying to make these additional plantings in the playground area or perhaps some other area on campus. And if all else fails, we will pay mitigation as it relates to those trees. Again, though, you have a steadfast commitment today from the school board that we will work with staff to try to accommodate their request, that rather than pay mitigation, we will try to plant those trees. And we appreciate the flex that they've provided us in suggesting that they don't necessarily have to be all live oaks, as the comment says. So we take that to heart as well, because different species might be able to be accommodated in certain spaces or certain areas, again, depending on when we revisit the plan. So with that having been said, we ask that you consider granting a variance today as laid out in the request, with the ability to pay mitigation if necessary, but only after we meet with staff and try to make as many plantings as possible, either in the playground area or some other area on this campus. If any of you have any questions, I'll be glad to address them.
Okay. Mr. Ballantyne?
Will CLECO pay for this?
The relocation,
Oh, all the stuff that, rather than have the fall on the taxpayers through the school board, can CLECO pay for all the planning and all this stuff we're having to do so they can get their right of way?
They already have a right of way. The school wants them to move it.
the school board and CLECO enjoy a great partnership, and we already have an arrangement with them where they're going to bear the line share of the cost of relocation of the lines to facilitate our growth. We had already planned to embark on some landscaping for the campus, so there was some dollars that were allocated toward landscaping. So the partnership of the two entities will accommodate everything we need to do, and we're more than comfortable with the split of the economics. CLECO's been a great partner.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes. Is this playground used for softball, baseball, or anything else like that?
Not formally, no. It's
No.
no, there's actually playground equipment sort of in the easterly center section. There's some, the playground is depicted as shown. What's not depicted is all of the things that are on the playground, and that's why there may be some challenges as to how many plantings and where they're located. But we want to look at that. We thought it was a good suggestion by staff.
Okay, so they don't play football or softball or baseball
Not,
on this field?
Oh, it's elementary.
I'm sorry. This is little guys and little ladies, pre-K to second.
Okay.
So although there might be a real good Super Bowl out there, it's a bunch of little guys running around, and
Okay.
not the big guys
So
with pads and
they feel
helmets.
that there's room for the trees there? Or
Well, we're gonna
adequate
try it. Yes, sir.
locations? Okay. In that
There's
case-
also, the future plan, it was like most institutions, they've got a footprint of other improvements, other buildings, et cetera. Well, some of those buildings would be located in that playground area. So that's one of the reasons we're a little hesitant to drop maybe all of the trees there. But I think we need to sit down and show staff the more detail as it relates to the playground and figure out how many of them we can plant. I mean, again, trees are good for all of us, and the school board certainly endorses a green policy of wanting to have as many trees as possible on its campus for the enjoyment of all.
In that case, I'd like to make a motion to approve with the stipulation that you work with staff on the species and locations of the trees.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion or questions? Hearing none, would everyone please vote with the lights?
Mr. Snyder, you didn't? Okay. What was your vote?
I voted yes.
Okay. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Our next case is BOA case number 2019-1702. Request by applicant in an A1 suburban zoning district for an after-the-fact waiver of the required front, sides, and rear no-cut buffers. The property is located at 28132 Pine Cone Road, Abita Springs, Louisiana. The applicant is Loretta Jarrell. Request by applicant for an after-the-fact variance to waive the required 25-foot no-cut buffer along the front and the 50-foot no-cut buffer on the sides and rear yard of the property. Staff comments, please.
The after-the-fact variance is requested to allow for the site to be developed and maintained as a pasture for horses. The owner is requesting to replant the site with certain species of trees that will not be harmful to the horses. Staff is not completely opposed to the request. However, a replanting plan shall be provided showing the proposed species and location of the trees to be planted, the proposed depth of the buffers, and the timeline for the replanting to be completed.
The applicant said, would you please state your name and address for the records, please?
My name is Loretta Jarrell. My address is 1604 Headings Court, Slidell, Louisiana 70460.
Okay, before you get started, Mr. Rao, I know there's some people in the audience, I think, against this, and we're going to give everybody amplitude time to speak. But would you like anything further to add than what you have already heard, Mr. Jarrell?
No, I don't. My husband.
Hey, my name is William Henry Giles Jr. I'm also a husband, and I reside at the same location, 1604 Headings Court. Pretty much what they stated, that we just want the variance to be able to have the horses on there. So we agree on what's being proposed.
Okay. Do we have any questions of the applicant? Now I'm going to ask if there's people who want to speak against it. Does anyone who would like to speak? You all can just have a seat. I'm going to give you time to rebut any answers, any questions that may come up. Would anyone like to speak against this? Or for it? Well, we get back. Let's get some of the. Just please state your name and address for the records, please.
Hi, my name is Sean Maddox. I reside at 229 Robledo Verde, San Antonio, Texas, and I own an adjacent property to the property in question.
Okay. And I didn't catch your name again.
Sean Maddox.
Okay, Mr. Maddox.
So I would just like to express our two concerns having the adjacent property, which is our intended retirement home. Essentially, number one is the erosion we've seen. And the way that the variance was actually worded here shows that council's obviously aware and is considering what measures need to be taken in the buffer area and the specific species of trees. Our big concern is the silt and the erosion that we've seen that clogs the drainage ditches and the natural waterways that form behind our property and behind the property in question during heavy rainstorms. They've pretty much caused a fairly significant amount of flooding, and it changes where the water lies when it floods. So it's made some impact on where we've seen the water rising up, getting closer and closer to the existing dwellings that are there. The second issue is just the speed of the water over the land. So without the trees there, it seems to be the water clears the land very quickly, and it winds up spending more time on the adjacent property. So according to, again, the wording that we just heard, all we want is for there to be some consideration taken in terms of how this is going to impact the erosion and the water flow in the area. Thank you.
Does anyone else wants to speak for or against?
Hi, my name is Keith Brown. I'm the BOA Property Owners Association President for Golden Oaks, Oak Knoll. My address is 74171 Peg Keller. As long as, our concern is that the surrounding neighbors, the effects on them are mitigated and corrected. If they've got a plan to put trees in, we don't necessarily particularly care as long as it meets the parish requirements. And we just want to make sure that our surrounding neighbors are taken care of.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak? Because we have some questions for some of the members.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Lisa Sigsworth. I live at 28070 Pinecone Road. The property in question is floating a lot of silt onto my property. When I moved there 3 years ago, I didn't have a flooding problem in the back part of my property. Now it's coming almost up into my backyard to my very back corner of my house. My driveway is now completely impassable during the rainstorm, and I just want to make sure that the proper trees are put in, that the buffers are trees that soak up the water. The right-of-way in the back is backing up because the wetlands and the natural cut-through was impeded and flattened out. And so the trees that need to be there need to be the ones that grow fairly fast, because we're unable to do any more improvements to our property. And the ones between us, we've already sunk an excavator. That's how bad that the backup in the water is not draining out of our property. Sinking an excavator is a nightmare to unthink. If you've ever sunk an excavator, it's not nice. Yes. Yes, it's not nice getting it out. So we have a big hole now from having to dig the excavator out. We would just like to make sure that the property goes at least on something that around the edges, whatever happens with the trees that are fast growers that will suck up the water, put the right-of-way in the back so that it drains properly so that the rest of us can at least enjoy our property. Thank you.
My name is Jack Hopper. I live at 28498 Persimmon Lane. And I think the impact of this work that's been done already reaches further than just the adjoining neighbors on both sides. The waterway that extends through their property also goes north, crossing Pegkiller Road. We've already had instances where this road has become flooded with water 4 to 6 inches over the roadway during that drainage area. I don't know what this will do to it in the future, but if it's already impacting in the back, it would definitely impact Pegkiller Road, which is the only thoroughfare in and out. The drainage ways that were impacted in the grading of this lot when it was cleared have definitely made an impact on the area around the two adjacent neighbors. I know it will impact the area north of that, getting closer to the subdivision division between Oak Knoll and Golden Oaks. With that said, whatever was disrupted in the way of drainage on the property and adjacent to it, I think should be put back. And I think it should be put back as soon as possible, because it's going to impact us later as the weather changes and we get into the heavier rains, which we have not had much of since this work was done. With regard to the trees and the planting, I would hope that the board would see fit not to make a major reduction in the setbacks and the quantities regarding the setbacks. I know it was all natural. I know there's no way to account for what was there, but I still think those buffers need to be put back in place.
Does anyone else, I know we got some questions for some of the members. Mr. Ballantyne, and I'm going to give you a chance to come back up. Mr. Ballantyne, who'd your questions?
I guess I got more of a statement. Ms. Gerald said, we'll put a plan together. But I can't support this based on a plan they're going to put together. So I want to see, before we do any voting or consider this, I want to see a plan in place. And that plan needs to cover the silt, the erosion, putting back the way it was, like that gentleman just said, to address drainage, the flooding, and get the plan approved by staff before it comes before us.
I'm going to save my comments for a little bit. Mr. Snyder?
Yes, I'd like to hear from engineering as to the drainage aspects, flood zone considerations, et cetera.
Is this mic on?
Should be.
Okay. So, yeah, we currently are reviewing. We're currently reviewing plans that have been submitted to us for drainage. It is in a critical drainage area, but we have not been able to approve them yet. They've still have some issues to work out.
By the way, this is Mr. Chris Clutet. He's one of our engineer in the department.
Okay, well, since there is no drainage plan that's been completed, I would ask the applicants to, if it's hard to ask them to be in agreement with something that doesn't exist. So it looks like we're all here kind of early on this. Ma'am, because, I mean, if engineering comes up with a plan and it's acceptable to the parish and is possibly acceptable to this group, then there's a possibility of an approval. But the way it looks to me right now is this is in limbo pending more work by the parish. Therefore, I would just want this to be postponed.
Mr. Gordon?
Ms. Jarrell, would you mind stepping up to the mic, please? Jarrell?
You both can step up if you like.
Okay, one of the things is that I would like to say, we talked to the Army Corps engineer. They explained to us about the wetlands that we got on there, and how about the drainage come from the back of all the property, even from Miss Lisa property, how that's been created since 1998, how the waterway from all the way from the back of her property from 1998 come and drain from downhill. It don't even affect her property.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm sorry to interrupt you. When I asked you to come to the mic, it's because I had questions for you, and then I'll listen to what you.
Okay.
I have some questions, if you don't mind, sir. Thanks. Okay. When was the property cleared?
The property was cleared in, I think, 2017.
Who cleared the property? There was a contractor that brought in. Who was it?
He was out of Franklin, Louisiana. I'm not sure his name off the top of my head. I have to look at it.
I'm just curious how this came to pass that you got this property cleared and it was done without any kind of approval or questions or anything.
The reason being is we're originally not from this parish here.
Sure.
We're originally from East Feliciana Parish.
Yes, sir.
And back there, we have cleared land ever since I've been a kid without even permits. And when we bought the property, had we known what we know today, when we originally found out, we wouldn't have did this here. We did this here on the assumption, living in East Feliciana Parish, property been cleared with no permits that we ever known of.
From property line to property line, we do things different there.
Right.
He's doing
Unfortunately, this is St. Tammany, and
That's what I
you're
said.
running into. You
Had we
find out.
known.
Sure,
Had we
I understand. Was fill placed on this site? Fill. Did you put dirt on this site also?
Yes, I put dirt in one spot. We was gonna put a barn, and we put dirt in from a driveway, and then
to
a
the
60 by
barn.
60 spot for a barn.
And then you filled in a ditch that's shown on this site?
No, sir, we didn't fill in. The ditch was not on the property. Even the previous owner state that the ditch was not on the property.
Was there a natural swale that got filled in?
No, sir. We did not see it when we was on
And
the
there's
property.
wetlands, you were alluding to that before I interrupted you. There's wetlands on the property, so you all have, of course, damaged wetlands?
Back in the back corner.
So you all in the process of mitigating the
We
wetland?
already did. Corps engineer already gave us plant some trees in that area, and it's gonna improve everything. It's
Okay.
already been done.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
I have a couple questions also. How many trees was taken out off the property, roughly?
Roughly, I say they had to go out at least about 8 times with an 18-wheeler that I can take out.
What type of trees?
Yes, so 8 big loads of 18-wheeler.
And what type of trees?
Mostly
pine
trees.
Because on the drawing I have here, I don't know who made this drawing, it showed some type of ditch, like a crescent of a ditch on the property.
That's on the back. That's on the back of the property. Yes, sir.
Is that still?
That is the back.
Well, I'm sorry. The owner that we bought it from, she called it a creek.
Okay, but is that still, have y'all filled that in?
No, sir.
So that's
I
still?
don't know who say we filled a waterway in, but we did not fill a waterway in.
It is clear. Can I state to the question that was?
Yeah. Go ahead. I don't. You go ahead. You can state now.
Because I just want to tell you guys, if you guys look at the overall map of the property, and it's an overlay, and Chris and them has it, the property that we own, it sits in the down below all the properties out there. If you look at the overlay, the property cannot, it's no way possible that the water from the left or the water from the right that drains onto our property can go up here on either one of those properties. It's already, the map can't be changed. The property sits down.
And the Corps engineer came out there to prove that.
So the property to the left and right is higher than our property. Now, when we clear the property, the water do run straight backwards. It don't go to the right. And for to say that the water is coming in Ms. Lee's property, if you go back and look at the map, the overlay map, it's called a branch creek that comes around the whole neighborhood. As it comes down across the Pinecone Road, before we even get to our property is another 20 acres away. It floods right there on Pinecone Road. Right there by the Horseman Ranch. When it comes around, all that there, trees and fell in the branch all the way around the property, around the neighborhood, throughout, which runs behind Miss Lisa and them house, which comes back around, goes across the pipeline. Now, when the pipeline was done, like the neighbor told me when we first moved in, the pipeline created a lot of water back up because this here property also, the branch also runs over the top of a pipeline that was dug back there. It comes around the pipeline, goes back off into the woods, comes back into our property. If you look at the overlay, it'll show you that. Yes, sir, it does.
Mr. Brook, did you have a question?
Could you pull it up on the map? Could you pull it and it'll show you what I'm talking about?
They cannot put it up, they don't have it. But in the meantime, like the Corps engineer said, the water our property do not flood on nobody else's property. Everybody else's property is flooding on our property. If you really look at it. Everybody else's property is flooding on our property, from the left to the right.
And they have ditches.
We have pictures to prove that. He can, and water cannot flood up, and I don't know what everybody's getting that from. We talked to the Corps engineer, and they already came out there and proved, and I don't know why everybody's saying that erosion is coming on their property because of the trees. That is not true.
Mr. Terrell, has the Corps given you any letters stating this, like what you're stating?
They haven't given us any letter, but they are working on the area that's have been draining. How we got wetland is from the property to the left, the property to the right, cause they have a swamp land and the back of his property, which been draining on that property for so many years, caused a wetland onto our property. And they working on giving us a plan to plant some trees in that little area on the property to the right.
Okay. Mr. Brookter?
A couple things, Ms. Loretta.
I'm saying the left, but actually the property over to the right have been proven that it's been draining onto a section of our property to the, I'm sorry, sir, I don't mean to cut you off, but onto the right side of of the property that we own, because of the back of the man property on the right, drainage been causing a wetland onto our property next to the creek, to the back of the creek that we have, a big section of that property. I have a picture of it.
All right, well, let's let Mr. Brookter ask his question.
How many acres are we talking about here?
11.17.
Okay. I would feel better about voting on this thing if you all would go back and work this with the parish. They're in the process of really trying to put together a plan, and by giving them an opportunity to go back and kind of do some research on the water flow and that sort of thing, and then come back to us.
Yes, sir.
But right now, it would be tough for me to vote on this thing in its current stage.
See, a lot of things you exclaim, that's the same thing I wanted to mention also. A lot of things you say, you're saying your elevation is lower. We have no elevations on your particular land compared to the next land. We don't know if yours is higher than everyone else, lower, without having a surveyor attach something or someone verifying that your land is lower. So it's hard for us to make some determinations.
And I respect that. But I do know that Mr. Chris himself was given him that information from our landscaper. From our surveyor, who's been doing it for over 40 years in this here parish. He had the email from him showing that our property is low, and he could either say he know it or he not today. He can also say that the drainage system that comes into that property, it comes from a branch that starts waves on the opposite of the property and comes around. So I'm not sure how water go backwards.
See, unfortunately, we do not have this in our packet.
Yes, sir.
And so it's hard for us to make some determinations. Who was the surveyor? You saying?
J.V. Burke and Associates.
J.V. Burke and Associates?
Yes, sir. And they did provide the government, certain Tammany do have that information. It showed them the drainage system that should be in the neighborhood that was not maintained. Because, like I say, the drainage in front of the house, neither the ditches were dug out when we first moved in. The ditches were that deep. And so the water was flowing from the property across the street, over the road, onto the properties. And it took me a month and a half to even get them to even come out to dig out one ditch.
Mr. Gordon?
Is Mr. Burke this done?
You done? Yes.
Engineering, you guys are working on this, you said?
Yes, sir. We're currently reviewing plans. Yes, sir.
And you're going to come up with some guidelines for us?
Yes, sir. We're working with Sean Burks, and he needs to revise his plans to accommodate all the drainage issues and to not have any adverse impacts on adjacent properties.
All right, I make a motion to postpone until we have an understanding from engineering exactly what's going to take place.
Before we make a motion here, I would like to point out that, the request here is not going to be to vote on anything related to engineering. Engineering here is here to answer questions, and, so the request here is regarding the replanting. The owner is to bring us a replanting plan that will meet the requirements, or basically, as requested, not to have to replant. And I just want to clarify this. We may have more information from engineering. However, the request that is in front of you here is not related to engineering. Its request is related to the replanting.
My motion to postpone is going to stand as stated.
But let me ask you this. I know, but we not even know how many trees are we talking about to be replanted. All we're saying is that they violated the no-cut buffers. Did they take out 1 tree, 1,000 trees, 10 trees? And and I just want to get clarification, if we voting on either saying yes, they have to replant, we don't have no number. Who's going to determine the exact number of trees that need to be replanted and these no-cut buffers that were cut? Do we have any idea of what we're talking about? I know we're just looking at replanting, but...
If the owner comes up with a plan before the meeting, then Ms. Contours will be able to determine or provide a better recommendation.
I'm sorry, but without information from engineering, we don't know what's going to have to take place on that property. You may have to put a retention pond in. There's no telling what has to take place. We don't know where the trees are going to go. I want an answer from engineering before I go any further.
Okay, and everyone had, and Mr. Gordon, you did make a motion to postpone, and we did take staff's comments, but we do have a motion to postpone. Do we have a second to postpone? Second. We have a motion and a second to postpone. Now I'm going to open up for any discussion on this particular motion. Ms. Ballantyne, you have a question on the motion?
Yes, I have when the plan comes to us, I want to see a plan like Mr. Gordon said, on landscaping and engineering and the whole 9 yards.
Well, I understand that, but right now, we talking about, do we postpone this? We're not getting into the details on the postpone. The motion on the floor is, do we postpone this to next month or not? So if there's any questions concerning that, now, we can make comments later to staff or what we'd like to see, but right now, it's postponed. If next month they come back and don't have the information, we may want to postpone. Anything can happen next month, depending on what is submitted by next month. So right now, do we have any other questions concerning the postponement? Mr. Snyder, Mr. Snyder first?
Yes. No, I'd just like to say that I believe that the issue that before us does relate to engineering, because once these buffers are replanted, depending on the species, the spacing, et cetera, that can modify drainage profiles. So we're going to be looking at engineering hopefully next month in terms of which way the water flows, whether retention ponds are needed or anything like that. But then on top of that, the actual planting of the trees will in time affect the drainage. So that's all I had to say.
Okay. I don't see no one else requesting to speak.
Could I just say one thing before you got closed?
Well, no, right now, the floor is closed. Right now, we have a motion to, and I'm sorry, but the floor is closed for outside comments,
Yes,
just on the board. Any other questions from the board members? Hearing none, would everyone please vote with the lights?
Motion carries. The case will be postponed until January. I will send you a notice in the mail.
Thank you. Our next case is BOA case number 2019-1703, BOA, request by applicant in an A1 suburban zoning district for an after-the-fact waiver of a portion of the required side yard 50-foot no-cut buffer. The property is located at 77228 Rubion Road, Folsom, Louisiana. The applicant is Robert Punch. The applicant is requesting an after-the-fact waiver, a portion of the required side yard 50-foot no-cut buffer. Staff comments, please.
The after-the-fact request is to allow for a portion of the eastern 50-foot no-cut buffer to remain cleared to allow for the construction of a barn. Staff does not have any objection to the request, considering that the proposed barn will meet the side yard setback requirements as shown on the attached plan.
See, the applicant's present. Will you please state your name and address for the records, please?
My name is Robert Punch. I live at 80472 North Willie Road in Folsom, Louisiana.
Mr. Punch, do you have anything further to add?
No, sir, other than I apologize for not knowing about set buffer zones. That was my failure in asking enough questions, but that's where we made our mistake, and we're just asking for a variance.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Punch? Is anyone here to speak against this motion? This case? I'm open for suggestions from anyone or questions or. Huh?
I'm waiting for Tom to make a motion.
Mr. Ballantyne?
I make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion or questions? Hearing none, would everyone please vote with the lights?
Mr. Snyder? You've removed it. Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Our next case is BOA case number 2019-1706, BOA, request by applicant in an I-2 industrial zoning district for, for the reduction of the required 30-foot straight planting area along Ben Thomas Road, and for the removal of some of the live oak trees to allow for the construction of a test track. The property is located on the north side of Ben Thomas Road, Slidell, Louisiana. The applicant is Textron Marine and Land Systems. The representative is Evan Graves Engineering Incorporated. The applicant is proposing to construct a vehicle test track for the testing of military vehicles. The size of the proposed track is required in order to meet the specifications and regulations imposed by government. Staff comments, please.
The request is to encroach into the street buffer along Ben Thomas Road. The board previously granted the same variance in 2015 and 2018. However, since the applicant did not apply for the permit within 1 year of the variance, it expired. Upon review of the tree survey, it appears that several live oak trees located in the area will be cleared, and staff does not object to the variance. However, staff will be required to, the applicant will be required to mitigate the live oak trees in addition to meeting the minimum requirements for the street planting area.
Would you please state your name and address for the records, please?
Yes, thank you. My name is Stephen Lundgren. I live at 3900 North Hullen Street in Metairie, Louisiana. I represent Evans Graves Engineers. We're the consultant to Textron.
Mr. Lundgren, do you have anything further to add?
No, as Ms. Lambert indicated, this was previously approved, and due to Textron moving their program around, the job was never constructed. They do intend to go forward with construction very soon, and so we'd like to reapply. Same site plan.
Okay. Do we have any questions of the applicant? And Mr. Gordon?
Make a motion to approve based on staff comments.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Do we have any questions? And this is with the mitigation of the trees, correct?
Second, Mr. Snyder.
Do we have any questions? Hearing none, would everyone please vote with your lights? Yes, Mr. Snyder, second.
Mr. Valentine? Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, old business this time.
No, I just want to bring it to light that, again, we have got cases in there. I know there are reasons, but these after the fact cases bother me. That's all.
You approved the last one, why'd you do it?
I said it, circumstances.
Any other old business?
It's just a question, following up on what Tom brings up every meeting. How would it be possible when someone applies for a variance for an after the fact, that instead of $200, it's $500?
So it is $500.
Oh, after the fact's 500?
Yes,
well,
sir.
Let's make it 1,000.
But that's a parish, I think, we have to pass an ordinance.
Oh, it had to be a council?
Yes.
Oh, we can get that done.
It had to be a council decision to change that. We don't have the authority to do that.
Would 1,000 be okay, Tom?
I'd like 1,000.
All right, let's go for it.